In this session, we'll have a discussion of software process in detail. So, a software process can be defined as a set of related activities that leads to the production of a software product. Or it can also be defined in a broader sense as a framework for the activities, actions, and tasks that are required to build high quality software. So, in simple terms, we can say it is a set of activities that are used in the production of software. So, here we can see different terms used in this definition, that is activities, actions, and tasks. Literally, all these are having similar meaning, but in the context of software engineering, they are a little bit different. We'll see it later. So, now we'll see what are the different types of processes. Sometimes the processes can be categorized either as plan-driven or agile processes. So, what is a plan-driven process and what is an agile process? A plan-driven process is a process where all the process activities are planned in advance and progress is measured against this plan. So, we already said that process means it is a set of activities. So, in order to develop a software, we need to perform different activities. So, in plan-driven processes, every activities will be planned in advance. What will be the first, what is the activity that is to be executed first? Then, what is the next activity to be executed? Similarly, what will be the sequence of activities? We have to decide in advance what are the sequence of activities that are to be carried out in order to develop the software. That is known as plan-driven processes. We'll have a strict plan, and always this plan will be followed strictly to develop the software. No changes will be made to the plan. Whereas in agile processes, planning is incremental and it is easier to change the process to reflect changing customer requirements. In agile processes, planning is not that much strict. That is, planning can be changed in advance or in the future. That means agile processes are incremental in nature. So, we will make a plan initially, but it is not sure that the plan will be strictly followed until the end of the software development. There can be changes. There can be changes made during the activities. So, that is meant by agile processes. So, now we will see what is a generic process model. A process is defined as a collection of activities, actions, and tasks that are performed when some work product is to be created. So, this is what we have defined in the previous slide. Then, we have discussed that activities, actions, and tasks are having different meaning in the context of software engineering. So, we will see what is an activity, what is an action, and what is a task. So, an activity strives to achieve a broad objective. Activity is a term that is used in broader sense. That means it is a general term. For example, for an activity is communication with the stakeholder. This is a phase in the software development. That is, it can be considered as an activity. And it is applied regardless of the application domain, size of the project, complexity of the effort, or degree of rigor with which software engineering is to be applied. So, it is defined in a broader sense. It does not depend upon the application domain or size of the project or complexity of effort or the people involved in development. So, this is known as activity. Then, what is an action? An action encompasses a set of tasks that produce a major work product. That is, action means a part of the activity. An activity can be composed of different actions. So, action now the action may contain different set of tasks. So task focuses on a small but well-defined objective. Task is a little more precise. That is, it is defined for a particular objective. For example, conducting a unit test. Unit test means testing of each modules. So it is more precise and it produces a final outcome. So these are the difference between activity, action and task. So a process can be defined as a collection of activities, actions and tasks that are performed in order to develop a software. So this is known as general process model. And each of these activities, actions and tasks reside within a framework or model that defines their relationship with the process and with one another. So all these are collected together and we call them a framework or model. So we'll see what are the different models. So this is the arrangement of a software process. Here we can see there is a process framework, then some umbrella activities are here, then here comes the what we have defined earlier, that is here we have different activities. This is framework activity number 1 and there will be so many activities in between, and the final activity is shown here, that is framework activity number n. And inside this framework activity we have different actions to be carried out, and each action constitutes of task sets. So inside this we have software engineering action number 1, and a framework activity may include different number of actions, say k number of actions, and each action will be made of task sets. And task sets contains workloads. That means what all are the tasks to be performed, what are the products produced from these tasks, and there will be some quality assurance points and project milestones to be covered within a phase. So this is the arrangement of a software process. That is, each software engineering action is defined by a task set that identifies the work tasks that are to be completed, the work products that will be produced, the quality assurance points that will be required, and the milestones that will be used to indicate the progress of the project development. This is what is explained in the figure shown before. Now, the generic process framework for software engineering defines 5 framework activities. So this generic model defines a process and divides it into 5 different activities. The activities are communication, planning, modeling, construction and deployment. So this model is followed by most of the process models, software design process models. We'll discuss them later. So these are just mentioned here and we'll see it later in detail. In addition to these framework activities, these fundamental framework activities, in addition to these activities, there are some umbrella activities that are applied throughout the process. So we have seen in the figure that there are some activities outside the framework activities, that is umbrella activities. The umbrella activities include project tracking and control, risk management, quality assurance, configuration management, technical reviews, etc. Now, one more term is associated with the process, software process model, that is process flow. Process flow describes how the framework activities, the actions and tasks that occur within each framework activities are organized with respect to sequence and time. So that is, it is showing a connection between different framework activities, how it is being connected or how it is being related with each other. That is what is represented using process flow. Now we can say different type of process flows are there, and these types are, one is linear process flow. So how linear process flow takes place? We can see here different activities are mentioned here. That is, we have already discussed about the activities that are present in a process. Here, first one is communication, planning, modeling, construction, and deployment. These are the different activities which are carried out in a process model. And the flow is represented by using the arrows. So the initial phase is communication, then comes planning, then modeling, then construction, and finally deployment. So all these occur in a linear way. That is, after the communication process is completed, planning begins. After planning is completed, modeling is performed. Similarly, after modeling, construction is performed, and final phase is deployment. So this occurs in a linear fashion, or it is connected in a linear manner. And the beginning of the process flow is with communication and ending is with deployment. This is known as linear process flow. Now comes the second type of process flow, that is iterative process flow. In iterative process flow, there are repetitions. That is, flow repeats one or more of the activities before proceeding to the next. We can see in the figure, there are different phases shown here. Different activities that are communication, planning, modeling, construction, deployment. The activities are same here, but the way of execution is different. Sometimes some activities may be repeated. That is the meaning of iterative process flow. Here we can see here communication and planning are again repeated one more time. There is a loop shown here. That means this process can be repeatedly done, and after that modeling is performed. Then modeling is repeated many times. Then construction is performed. Then construction to communication, again it is circulating and forming a loop. Then deployment is taking place. So we can see that some activities may be repeating more than one time. This is known as iterative process flow. Next comes evolutionary process flow. Evolutionary process flow means it executes the activities in a circular manner. Each circuit through the 5 activities need a more complete version of the software. So here every single activity is completed one time, then again it will be repeated. This is known as one increment. After this process is completed, that is communication, planning, modeling, construction, and deployment, then a product will be released. That is, after the completion of all these activities one time, a miniature version will be released. Then if the requirements are changed, then again it goes through all these 5 different activities. So this will be repeated in a circular manner. That is known as evolutionary process flow. With each evolution, there will be a version to be released as a final product. Now comes the parallel process flow. The parallel process flow executes one or more activities in parallel with other activities. That is, in the figure we can see the parallel execution, that is communication and planning. Along with communication and planning, modeling phase is executed along with that. That is, communication, planning will be taking place, and at the same time modeling is also taking place, and after that construction and deployment occurs. So it can be varied. This is only an example. So any one or more activities can be executed or completed in parallel with other activities. That is known as parallel process flow. So these are the different terms associated with process and process flow. Thank you.